are you doing? Welcome back to my channel at Maiora. It's Sarah Albanese here, and today I'm going to talk about something quite particular. Now, I'm not going to talk about grammar, I'm not going to talk about literature, I'm going to talk about something that actually belongs to our everyday life, to our culture, American culture, but also, well, international culture, because I'm sure that so many of you, exactly like me, are fans of so many American TV shows or movies or series or whatever. And so I am quite sure that almost all of you, somewhere, somehow, somewhen, have found this broadcast time here written exactly like this, and probably you ask yourself what that means. It's probably, if you're American, that's quite obvious for you. You're saying, what are you talking about? That's so obvious. But for people all around the world, that's not incredibly obvious. Okay, not at all. So first of all, in order to understand this thing here, to understand this broadcast time, which is very common, we always find it written like this, or and pronounced like 8-7C normally, or 8-7 Central Time. Well, in order to understand that, we have to remember how huge the United States of America are. So first of all, we have to remember that the United States of America are divided into 4 main continental time zones plus 2 other zones. Okay, the first one is Eastern Time. It's on the eastern coast, of course, and it there are states here, like for example New York or Florida or Washington DC, so the capital city, and there's a lot of population here. A huge amount of population actually live in this time zone, Eastern Time. Then there's another time zone, okay, on the west, which is called Central Time, okay, Central Time. And also in this case we got some huge states like Texas, for example, Arkansas and Minnesota, and so many others. And then again, one step to the west, okay, Mountain Time. So Mountain Time, we have a lot of other countries like New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana. I've just written down some names, but there are so many, really. And the last but not least, okay, of the 4 main time zones is the Pacific Time. The Pacific Time, which is absolutely on the western coast, okay, so California, Oregon, and Nevada, and so on and so on. There are 2 other time zones, which are Hawaii Aleutian Time and Alaska Time, so we don't have to forget them, so it's important to remember them. But in order to talk about broadcast time, it's important that you remember these 4 time zones first of all. Now, let's go back to our question, okay, what time is it? So this time here, this number here, actually refers to the Eastern Time. Okay, so if you see this, it means that your show, okay, is airing at 8 p.m. okay, in this time zone here, so Eastern Time. While 7 means that it is 7 p.m. in the Central Time, and this C here is the first letter of Central Time. Okay, so it basically means that the show, the series, the movie, whatever, is what airs in the broadcast time is basically different, okay, in the 2 zones, because it's a different time zone, of course, but the 2 of them are actually watching that together at the same time. The difference is that it is a different time for both of them. It is 8 p.m. here, it is 7 p.m. here, but they're basically watching the same thing at the same moment, even if the time is different, okay? And what happens to the other 2 time zones? Now, we have to consider that sometimes shows can be also live, like sport, for example, a match, okay, or anyway, a live TV show. In that case, of course, it happens at the same moment for all of them. Okay, so they will all watch it at the same time. Okay, it will be 8 a.m. p.m. here, 7 p.m. here, 6 p.m. here, and 5 p.m. here. So they are watching that at the same moment, okay, but with different times. And that's one thing. Another thing is when something, a movie, I don't know, a TV show or series, whatever, an episode, is obviously something that doesn't have to be live, okay? So this is a different process. So these two broadcast times will be exactly the same as the Eastern time. Okay, it will be 8 p.m. here, 7 p.m. in Central Time, and then 8 p.m. in Mountain Time and 8 p.m. in Pacific Time. Okay, so basically in this case it's quite funny because the two of them, okay, Central and Eastern Time, will watch that episode or I don't know what at the same time, even if it is a different time on their clock. Okay, but they're watching that at the same moment. Okay, they can text and talk about stuff going on without any spoilers. Okay, while these two areas here, these two time zones here, will watch the same show, okay, at the same time on the clock, okay, as Eastern Time, but at a completely different moment. Okay, same time, different moment. But in this case, same moment, different time. That's tricky, isn't it? That's a bit tricky. We have to remember that they are doing that at the same time, but of course they have a different moment on the clock. While here it will be 8 p.m., 8 p.m., 8 p.m. So this is the same time on the clock, but of course there are different moments because they are different time zones. That's it. Of course it's different, as I said before, for live shows, because in that case, of course, they have to watch that all together, at least. Well, maybe there can be some situations when it is postponed, but generally, if you want to watch it live, you have to do that at the same moment, even if it is a different time on the clock. So that's, yeah, it's not very comfortable. I read a lot of comments by American people living in the Pacific time, and they were kind of complaining about the fact that the majority of the showbiz in America, in the USA, is obviously here in California, in LA, in Hollywood, and whatever. But we can say the leading broadcast time comes from here, okay, from New York, from Washington, so where the economical and political power is. So this is just a little, sort of a subtle argument that you may find if you do some research and you read something online. Well, I think it can be quite useful and interesting for all of you who are not American, but they are basically English, maybe non-native speakers, but you can still speak English, and you maybe want to watch something American on streaming or whatever, and you don't want the show or the series to appear on Netflix or Amazon Prime or something else. You want to watch it, okay, at the same moment as they watch it in America, and so you have to remember this thing here. I hope it helped. Thank you so very much for following, and stay tuned for new tips or advice or lessons, literature, grammar, anything you want. Thank you so very much for following, and bye.